certified, once you get all the information and hold yourself out as a certified compassionate mediation trainer, coach, therapist, then hopefully people will start not only looking for you, but I can refer to you because I have an online program, a compassionate mediation program. It's a 6-hour video program. And I think people will be looking to find trained counselors, therapists, coaches who can help them through the program. So that's part of the vision, that certified compassionate mediation coaches or therapists will be listed on my website to be referred to. They'll be given all of my materials from the last 35 years, meaning all the workbooks, all the handouts, all the questions, all the interview templates, everything I've used, so that you can take it into your practice. So that's what's available. If you're interested, get in touch with me. Whether you're a certified mediator or you do compassionate mediation, what you'll do, if required, is write a short memorandum so that each party can take to their attorneys, because in mediation, no matter who's mediating or whether it's certified mediation or compassionate mediation, each of the parties, if they're going to do anything legal, like a legal separation or a legal divorce, they have to have their own attorney. As a mediator, we're the neutral party. We don't represent one side. We don't go to court. Even if we're attorneys, I don't go to court. So what a mediator could do is write up what people have agreed to in order to give it to their attorneys. Because I am an attorney, I usually write the document, but you wouldn't do that. Okay, but you could write that this is what we've decided. But they won't decide anything, especially if they're getting divorced, without talking to attorneys. What you're doing in compassionate mediation is providing a forum for them to talk about everything. Because even when they think about what do they want to do about the house, well, it's going to take often weeks to talk about the emotions of whether we want to let go of the house or keep it for the kids. Not always a great idea. But even discussing what all of those options are takes time. And the good news is instead of hiring an attorney and hiring another attorney, and even in collaborative divorce, which is another excellent way to get divorced, you have an attorney, and both of you present at all times. Whereas in compassionate mediation, you learn the skills to actually have this dialogue with the mediator there, or even again at home, because they've learned how to communicate better. No, there's never one attorney. They each still need separate attorneys. An attorney can only represent one party. So an attorney will represent a party and the other party can represent themselves pro se by themselves, but I never recommend that. I always recommend that each person talk to an attorney before decisions are made. And it can take weeks and months and sometimes years to make those decisions. But in the meantime, they're learning how to communicate. They're showing each other empathy. They're putting out the fires that they need to put out immediately, as in what are they doing to co-parent? What's going on with their credit card bills? How are they relating to each other with more respect? So they're moving in a positive direction. And in that positive direction, there is a new relationship. Now, if it's a new relationship that could support a brand new marriage, fabulous. If it's a new relationship that allows them to say, we've done the best we could, we came together for a reason. If we have children, that's part of the reason. And now one or both of us thinks it's time to move in a different direction. But the whole energy behind that conversation is different. It's self-led, it's kind, it's respectful, it's compassionate. And it leads to a restructuring of a family instead of breaking that family. And it saves time, money, businesses, tears, heartache, pain, children's pain. All of that is helped. So I hope that answers those questions. If you have any more, put them into the mix here. There were a couple questions that I think I'll go to here and put this in for everybody to see, because Shobha couldn't be here, but she sent this one. Before I get there, another couple questions on certification. Right now, what I'm looking at for certification is probably going to be an 8-week, 2-hour-a-week course, and it's going to be $997. And for those that get in fast, they'll be able to put the $200 that you've put towards the compassionate mediation tools. I'll take that off the cost. So let me know if you're interested. And then level 1 will be everything we've talked about, plus the 6 steps of the compassionate mediation program. In other words, how do you start with a client and interview them and find out everything you need to know? How do you then introduce the concept of self in parts so they understand how to take care of themselves and become more self-led? The second part talks about how to share empathy and how to teach them how to have a compassionate relationship, no matter what that relationship is going to look like. In module 3, we talk about all the options, and that's where I go deep into the types of things that you can share with your clients about what their options are. Because as I said earlier, when they're on the top of that diving board ready to jump and think they have to stay or they have to go, there's so many more options. But when they're taking care of themselves and they're relating with empathy, they have time to figure those out. And I give you those options so you can give it to them. The understanding the rights and finances part in the compassionate mediation program that's already out there for individuals and couples, it's like having an attorney in your pocket. I do an hour's worth of legal information that often a party would go to an attorney, ask them questions, try to write down the information, take home what they remember. But here I've written it all down. It's all on a video, and I give it to you so that you can give it to your clients in whatever form you want. And then when all of that's done, they've related from their highest self, created a compassionate relationship, explored their options, totally understand equally as partners their rights and finances and everything else about their relationship, then they decide what they want to do. And if they want to create a new relationship, they talk about what would it take to do that. And if their relationship isn't going to go the distance, they talk about how to end it or separate or restructure their family so that they can maintain the friendship, the love, the connection that brought them together in the first place. So that's my dream. Didn't happen exactly with my marriage the way I wanted it, but it's my goal to help as many people as possible, especially now. I mean, with everything that's been going on and the way relationships are strained to their limit, we have a special time in history right now to intervene in a way to model for individuals and couples how to truly, compassionately communicate. And I want to give you everything that I've created over the last 35 years and let you run with it wherever you want to take it in the world. So Kim in Australia has talked about taking the certification. She even asked me if she could talk about it at a 2021 conference, which would be a dream to have some of you take this out into your world. If you're a parenting specialist, if you're a financial advisor, if you're clergy, wherever you are, integrate what I have, add it to what you have, and let's synergistically bring more peace and love and kindness to relationships all over the world. That's the goal. Okay, hope you agree. Okay, so here is what Shobha sent. She has a question about clients who have a "this won't work" part, usually older women who will assert themselves, then back down from fear of destructive conflict, trauma of not being heard, seen, understood, or religious cultural shame around having needs. That's a big question. So let me start with the "this won't work" part. I always honor the "this won't work" part. I always invite their skeptics to feel very appreciated. And in doing so, the skeptics relax a little bit and make room for more self-energy to be there. In other words, they don't have to buy into this is going to work, but maybe, just maybe, they'll have a little more hope around the possibility that it could work if they hung in there and learned how to communicate better. And if people are afraid of destructive conflict, the way I work with people allows them to speak for their parts instead of from their parts. If they're blended with a part that's angry, I will often ask the other party to leave the room while I work with the party that's blended and help them unblend from the anger or the rage and get to how hard they've tried to manage this whole time, and help them see as calmly and compassionately as I can that they're so angry because they're so hurt. And if they could talk about the hurt, they could get a lot further in the discussion than continuing to rage. And for the other party, the one who's scared of conflict, I'll talk to them alone to see how they can set boundaries, or how they can ask for what they need, or how they can leave the situation if it feels abusive in any way. And the trauma of not being heard, which many people have, again, inner child unburdening. How does your spouse remind you of your parent? Can you take care of that little girl or little boy and let him know or her know that you're going to be in a relationship in which you are seen and respected? And in the meantime, they're going to be in a relationship with you where you're going to pay attention to your own needs and feelings. So the dynamic changes intrapersonally and the dynamic changes interpersonally. And religious cultural shame around having needs. Yeah, I think we could put most codependents in that category, that we as givers want to give, but when it comes time to taking care of our own needs, that's a little harder to ask for. You're curious, okay, so there's a question. I'm curious about asking the partner to leave the room. What are your thoughts about having them remain in the room and observe the transformation and then relate to this themselves? Are you concerned the anger is damaging and it might not transform? A lot of good questions there. I have people stay in the room for some work or unburdening, but only if I feel that the partner that's witnessing really can hold self-energy. If I feel there's going to be judgment, eye rolling, sighing, anything that makes the person who's unburdening feel vulnerable, then I won't do that. And when I ask someone to leave the room, I will give attention to the person that's in the room, and then I will go get the other person and give them equal time as well. And am I concerned that the anger is damaging and it might not transform? I see anger as a very burdened part. I see anger as the way people cope with exiling feelings, trying so hard to manage by being nice, pleasing, caretaking, hardworking, stoic, sarcastic. There's a lot of ways to manage. And then when they get so enraged, what I'm really seeing is this little guy who can't really talk about what he's feeling, or this little girl who can't talk about what she's feeling. So I hold the space that if they need to directly access their anger, in other words, if the other party's out of the room and they need to tell me what they're angry about and it comes speaking from the part instead of for the part, once I've witnessed them, their anger can calm down. Once it's been witnessed, acknowledged, compassionately related to, then when their partner comes back in the room, the party that was so angry can speak for the part that was feeling so much anger. And when they speak for the part, there's more self present, and the other party can relate self to self. So that's the part of how to do that. Good, I'm glad that makes sense. And there's a couple more questions that came in, so let me put these in. And thank you for those of you who are here and those of you that are listening. So the other question is that sometimes the magic wand question, you know, what do you want? Let's hold the vision for your future. Let's have hope that it's still possible, even if you don't know how. So she says that the magic wand question, and she works with them individually with IFS and the attachment theory and trauma recovery, and opens the empathy door. So that's great. But she's curious about how I might work with the client and what self-based support you offer your own mediator parts that might take things personally and feel insecure. Great question. Great question that I started out with. When I started out doing therapy, I thought I had to have all the answers and I had to help everybody get to their answers. And what I've learned is I have to be in self and hold space for people to get to their highest self to find their own answers. So I know if something's triggering me, that it's a part that I need to attend to, connect with, but ask to step back while I just channel in compassionate witnessing. So I don't have to have the answers. I don't have the answers. I tell them I don't have the answers. A lot of people come to me for answers. You know, they come to me and they tell me their story and they tell me why they think they have to leave, and the other party will tell me why they think they have to leave, and then they're looking at me to say whether they should stay or go, and I don't have that answer. I am a good parts detector. I can tell when they're conversing from apart. I can tell when one is so angry about something that they just want to leave no matter what. I can tell when one is so hurt by the other party's rejections that they're willing to throw the towel in even if they don't want to. So as you become a parts detector, you help them speak for their parts and heal the burden parts and really relate from their heart. So sometimes if I take it personally or feel insecure, I do my own work about that. Other two scenarios she's got, and let's see how this goes. I'll put this into the chat. The two other scenarios she'd love to witness is an avoidant partnership where actual issues are culturally taboo to address, and passive-aggressive avoidant differentiating partnership that desires support yet struggles with the imbalance of presence. Great questions. Okay, let's start with the first one, an avoidant partnership. I'm going to tell you about my way of doing psychodrama with people when I feel they're blended with a part. Hold on. So in doing psychodrama with people, if they're avoidant, I might ask, or angry or withholding or whatever they are, I may ask them to get up out of their seat and go to a specific spot in my office. And because they've already understood some parts are exiles, some ways you manage, and some parts get extreme, I put the exiles in this corner and the managers here and the extreme parts here. And if they're blended with a part, I'll ask them to stand up and be that part. So be the part that wants to avoid. And just what does it say? What does it do? What's its body language? What's its attitude? I might even turn them around so that they really can embody what it's like to avoid. And then I have them take a breath, and I might sit them back down, or I might move them. So when I move them to the room. I said, I can see why you're avoidant. I honor the parts and what the intention is. I can see why you're avoidant. You're avoidant because you've tried so hard to manage. You've worked so hard outside the home and in the home. You've dealt with all the feelings that you've tried to ignore. You've done everything you think you can do to be a good husband or wife, and you're exhausted. And underneath, I'll move them again. You're hurt, and you're sad, and you're scared that nothing you ever do will be enough. And as I'm moving them and speaking for their parts, actually their body language softens. And then what I ask them to do is just sit back down and thank all of their parts. They're all protective. And then I'll get the other one up and do the same thing and have them be avoidant and them manage and their parts. And then when they sit down, they recognize, like Thich Nhat Hanh just said, they both have these parts suffering in the corner. And how do we love ourselves enough to take care of those parts in ourselves? And how do we compassionately have empathy for our partner to do the same? And that's what this is all about. So if I've got a part that's really stuck and blended, I'll get them up and ask them to unblend. And the passive-aggressive avoidant differentiating partnership, when someone's passive-aggressive, usually they're exiling their anger. So owning their anger, kind of doing some inner child work to go back to a history where it wasn't safe to be angry, and reminding them that anger is an appropriate response to boundary violation, etc. So I help them to learn how to talk about their anger and their needs and wants instead of being passive aggressive. And when they struggle with the imbalance of presence, what it means to me is they're struggling because there's not enough self energy there. And then I go back to, how do they get to self? How do they take care of themselves? How do they breathe more often? Do they ever meditate? And really give them some self-care practice. So I think that is, oh, one more, and then I'll let you go, because these are good questions. Okay, so the question, I think the last two cases are most interesting for me to witness how you might work with them in a mediation. So yes, the way I just mentioned, I'd also do in a mediation. That's what compassionate mediation is. It's a way to do therapy, to coach people, to give them some legal and financial information, and to do it all under one umbrella. So yes, I put all those together. It helps to know that both cases involve children. One involves a toddler, the other involves adult children, both in and away from home, swept up in alternating and meshed, avoidant, isolating dynamics. Big breath here. Let's talk about the children. That is probably one of my most motivating factors for writing my book, for wanting to learn this practice for myself, and most of all, to want to share it with the world. I once said, I wonder how many people are injured in divorces, probably more than many wars in the world. And what we need to do as parents is to protect our children from the shrapnel of our animosity. Because even if we're passive aggressive, even if we're being avoidant, the energy that they're marinating in is, if not destructive, it's certainly not supportive. So I believe children know everything. And when you need to talk to your children about what your options are, what your plans are, there's age-appropriate ways of doing that. But figure from a very early age, they pick up on the energy. They can tell in a couple whether they're affectionate and respectful and responsive with each other. And certainly when we've got adult children, this compassionate mediation works with people that are happy in their marriage and would like to make it better, because there's still issues they haven't learned to talk about or ways they haven't learned how to empathize. It works with people who are stuck to help them get unstuck. It works with people that are separated. It works with people in the middle of a divorce to kind of stop the trajectory of a litigated divorce, and I've seen it work that way. And it's helpful post-divorce too, because it helps people that are still carrying the wounds of their divorce to look at it from a different perspective, to learn that they each did the best they knew how to do. They could forgive themselves and each other, no matter what the other party's going to do. And they can show up to future family events with at least one of them with more self-energy. So instead of your adult children being in the middle of a Cold War or an overt war, maybe one of them is angry and can't quite get over, but the other one is at peace, so that there's at least some calm that comes to the situation. And that's what you help your clients do, whether they're an individual and their partner never learns any of this, or whether they're a couple And many of the couples that I've counseled have not only gone on to create much better marriages, much more intimate and passionate and compassionate and fun, but they've also gotten divorced, but still kept their partnerships together and intact. Some of them have traveled to their daughter's college and even stayed in the same room, or taken trips together, or gone out to dinner all as a family. So there is a new paradigm here. And I'm so thrilled that you're watching or looking at the replay and want to learn more about it. So I think those are the questions we have. I'm going to unmute the people here to see if there's any questions or anything else. And to end this tape, before I do, I just want to tell you that if you have any questions about the process, if you have any questions about certification, I'm going to be offering a new course in August, the same course I'm going to be teaching again. And I want to mention that I have an affiliate program. So if you refer anybody to this program I'm doing in August, you would get a percentage of what the fee is. And so if you want to learn more about the affiliate program, let me know. I'll put more in the group. Also, remember to check the Facebook group for all the different question and answers sessions that we've had before. And hopefully you've worked your way through the Compassionate Communication Academy. And for those of you who got CEUs, have already gotten your certificate. And again, if you have any questions with that, let me know. So thank you so much for being here, for being part of what I'm doing. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your very busy day to put me in it. I love you for doing it. I'm going to end the tape, and I'm going to talk to the people that are here. Can you still get CEUs? Yes. Thank you for asking, Linda. You go to the link. You go to the link, and you get your CEUs by, I think it's $25. And then what you do is you go back to the course. You have to make sure everything is marked as complete. So even if you showed up live to all the sessions, you have to mark it as complete. You don't have to watch it again, just mark it as complete. So you mark each one as complete, download the worksheets if you want, but after every lesson is marked as complete, then there's a quiz after each module. The quiz is pretty easy, and it's self-regulating. So if you miss it, you can take it again until you get 80% right. And then you automatically get your CEU sent to you. So if you haven't signed up for CEUs, but you'd like to, how to get back to the course to do that. I will send the link into the page on our Facebook group, because I don't know it either. I think it's members@yourcompassionatecommunication.com. If you've already signed up, members@yourcompassionatecommunication.com. That should get you back into the academy. And I'm so glad you were here, and so glad you're listening. And we have another Q&A coming up a week from Thursday, and then 2 more in August, and then we'll go from there. So thanks again for tuning in. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.